go and start back up. All right, board members, we're going to go ahead and start back up. All right. We're going to go and reconvene. Item E, reconvene to open session. Item F, announcement of actions taken in closed session. None. G, presentations. What, G1? Oh, real quick. Ciro Calderon walked in at 5:20, and Lorenzo Calderon walked in approximately at 5:05.
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me out there? No?
Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
All righty. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next item, which is CIF athletic recognitions. And so first of all, behalf of the administration, behalf of the board, we are incredibly proud of every single one of you for doing such an amazing job of representing us, here locally, but not just here locally, you go out and compete in CIF. And so that's amazing. We know that it takes incredible preparation. You put a lot of work into what you do. Coaches, we know that you sacrifice a lot. You put a lot of time into it. And it's an honor to be able to recognize every single one of you for all the work that you put in. So we're going to go ahead and start with our varsity boys basketball. If we can have Coach Briseño and Coach Estrada please come up.
And I also want to have all the board members, once it's the final presentation for each team, go up there, that way we can take a group picture with them also as well.
Yeah. All right. So can we have our boys basketball players please come up? Oh, they're not here yet. Oh, yeah, there's one.
Is he the only one? Okay. All right, let's go.
Where's his buddies? Yeah, and pizza. Yeah, you might as well stay there.
All righty. Congratulations to our boys basketball with our representative here. Thank you. So let's give them another round of applause. Congratulations, Jovan. All right, moving on. We move on to our varsity girls basketball. If we can have Coach Cuevas, Coach Lopez, please come up. Go ahead, Mr. Cuevas, if you could call up your...
Julissa Soseña. Cassandra Contreras. Jocelyn García. Lía Macías. Citla Jauregui. Nina Tamayo. América Gutiérrez. Pamela Cervantes. Maite Cervantes. Yanesa Contreras. Lily Garzón, Anaid Recio,
All right, let's give our girls basketball team another big round of applause. And I do want to mention that, I didn't mention it for the boys, but our boys qualified for the CIF playoffs and did an excellent job at representing us. Our girls, they are the Imperial Valley League co-champs, and they lost, unfortunately, in CIF, but they made it all the way to CIF, but they're actually co-champs in our league. So let's give them another big round of applause. And again, congratulations to Coach Cuevas for coaching such an outstanding team, and Coach Lopez as well. Thank you.
Vanessa Ochoa.
Ms. Ochoa. I'm sorry, I have over here Lopez. I'm very sorry, Ms. Ochoa. Yes, let's give him another big round of applause.
Cesena is player of the year. Cesena is player of the year.
Oh, and Cesenia, Player of the Year. Let's give her another big round of applause. And all our athletes, please make sure you stick around because everyone will have a little pizza party right afterwards. All right? Thank you.
Macias was first team all selection, and Cervantes, my dad, was second team.
Awesome. Congratulations.
One of the things that I would like to mention that this is the sixth championship for Calexico girls basketball team in the last 8 years. And not only that, now we are Division 1. So when I got the team, we were in Division 3, and little by little, we have been able to get to Division 1 already.
Thank you, Mr. Cuevas. Congratulations, team. Thank you. All right, now we're going to be moving on to our varsity girls soccer. If we can have Coach Laurias and Coach Rivera please come up. All right. How about our girls soccer team? Any of our girls soccer team players here? Girls? You got your soccer. Come on up, girls. Come on up. They're what? Oh, they're with the boys. Oh, they're the managers for the boys. Okay, sorry about that. Well, let's give our, nonetheless, let's give our girls varsity another big round of applause. And one of the awesome, startups that we have is actually girls wrestling, which we're very proud to also announce. If we could have Coach Sanchez and Coach Stoffel please come up.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank our athletic director, Ray Alvarado, pretty much helped us out through this season, and the administration also. And I want to recognize these girls wrestling team. It's the first female girls wrestling team in Calexico after over 50 years of being a boys wrestling team. So I want to give them a recognition on that. And also, they have their own CIF, their own state, which is a big thing because before, for them to be able to go to CIF or state, they would have to go through the boys wrestling and qualify through the boys, which was really tough and challenging. But fortunately, the girls wrestling is growing statewide, and we're fortunate to have a team and fortunate to have a school that supports the team for us to be able to participate in those tournaments and state. And so I want to thank all you guys again. It's an honor for me to be able to be the first coach for them, and hopefully we can get a state champion pretty soon, as our last state champion was 1996, which was me. And just want to throw that out. And I want to bring it back up. And actually, Ray was there too. So he knows we bring a lot into the wrestling, and we want to be the best at it at all times. So I want to introduce first Estefania Bradshaw. Veronica Hernandez. Stay up there. Yes, you weren't here. Today wasn't, it's not here, Joanna Collins. But she's, you want to go for it? All right, the mom says he's got ordered to go for her. Last, this student athlete here that I've had, her name is Stephanie Villafuentes. And Stephanie Villafuentes started on her sophomore year, stayed in junior and senior, but she made it to the state championships tournament. She qualified. She's the first girl to qualify for a state tournament, especially here in Calexico. So I want to give her a big round of applause. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
All right. So now, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next sport of students that we're going to be congratulating, and this is the boys soccer team. And so if we can have Coach Bernal and Coach Garcia please come up. Really appreciate it.
No, that's for somebody else. Espérate, no quieras saber.
Can I begin?
So they get a cup and a bag, okay?
Thank you for having us, Mr. Gonzalez and the board. I want to introduce the team. I think most of them are here, so I'll just read the entire roster and then we'll go from there. I want to introduce the two managers, Ashley Luna and Diana Romero. Please go to the front. They're a little shy. And the players, I'm going to call out the names so they can just come up here. The players are Andres Alcalá, Andres Barraza, Eric Briones, Alejandro Cabrera, Rafa Cabrera, Kevin Galvan, Robert Lopez, Arad Lopez, Eduardo Núñez, Sergio Ramírez, Andy Rojas, Marco Rosales, Alejandro Serrano, Daniel Serrano, Martín Serrano, Daniel Velázquez, Rodrigo Zazueta, José Cordero, Jesús Solorio, Sebastián Galaviz, Moisés Martínez, and Jesús Pradis.
All right, and if I may brag a little, Mr. Bernal, and you can add to it as well. Our boys soccer, Division II made it all the way to Southern Section championships, and so I just want to share some information in regards to some of their matchups. They won their first round against Bonita 2-0. Then that allowed them to move on to the quarterfinals of CIF action. They beat Castle Park 3-0. Then after that, that allowed them to move over to the semifinals of CIF play action. They beat Chula Vista 1-0, and they made it all the way to the championship over in La Jolla. And so very proud of the accomplishment, which was unbelievable, and unbelievable representation. You make us all proud of the hard work that you put in. Coaches, thank you very much for all the efforts, and if I missed anything, Coach Bernal, please feel free to add.
You pretty much said a lot of stuff. I just want to thank everyone for supporting us. This is our second CIF final. Unfortunately, we've lost both of them. We reached Division 1 2 years ago. We reached Division 2 this year. Next year, we'll do our best to reach it again. IBL, Mr. Alvarado, you hired me 16 years ago. I'm still here. Got 9 IBLs for you and 12 Copa de Valles. Just want to throw that out.
Awesome. Congratulations. Congratulations.
And I wanted to present this signed ball. It's signed by everyone. Before we left to the semifinal last Wednesday, Mr. Calderon showed up to the bus. I've never seen that before. He showed up to the bus and he wished us good luck. So I really want to thank you, Mr. Calderon. That really meant a lot to the entire team. They asked who was that man that was there. So I had to. Yeah, I know. I had to tell him who you were. So this ball is for you. I also want to thank Mr. Garcia. Awesome coach, excellent coach. I learned a lot from him this year, but I'm still here. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Congratulations again. Thank you. All right. So after the picture, all of our wonderful, players, students, you're going to be led over to another place, which you'll be enjoying in a pizza party. Thank you.
You guys will follow over here? Ms. Lopez, raise your hand. You're gonna follow her, okay? Thank you, guys. Siguen a la señora López. Everybody can see you guys. You get another letter? Oh, this is for this class. Follow Ms. Lopez. Okay, the other one. Go ahead.
Sí, sí está conectado. Okay, we're going to continue on to G2.
All righty, so we're going to go ahead and move on. Now we'd like to move on and congratulate Aurora High School. And just a few words. It gives me great honor to be able to recognize Mr. John Moreno and our staff from Aurora High School for being selected as a model continuation high school. Just some information. There are more than 53,000 students that attend 441 of our state's continuation high schools. Only 32 of those 441 continuation high schools were selected as a model continuation high school. The schools were selected based on comprehensive and competitive application process that involves effectiveness, assessments, and the use of data. The process is very rigorous. It also includes a peer review panel on the site visits. The other thing I'd like to mention is Aurora High School is an awesome high school. This is not the first time that they get this award. They've previously been honored with the Model Continuation Distinction in 2004, 2007, 2010, and 2013 by the California Department of Education and the State Superintendent of Public Education. So I'd like to congratulate Mr. John Moreno and staff for being selected as a model continuation high school for 2018. Thank you for providing such a caring, a nurturing, and an academic enriching environment for all of our students at Aurora Model Continuation High School. And so let's give him a round of applause. Mr. John Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, members of the board, members of the audience. I'm very proud of our school, our community, and I just want to let you know that our teachers work extra hard with our students. Of the 3,000 más o menos students at Calexico High School, there's a certain percentage that have a very difficult time completing their credits and their grades, and that percentage, I want to say 15 to 20, come to us. And they come to us, and we provide them a second opportunity to get their high school diploma. I want to mention that there was a young man on the soccer team that was at our school last year, and believe me, I pushed him every day because he wanted to play ball. And when I see that motivation, I push him harder. And now he is a member of this championship team under head coach Javier Bernal. I also want to say that we focus, like many schools do, on the ABCs: attendance, behavior, and credits. And so our focus has always been and will always be to provide a rigorous academic program tailored to the needs of our students. Aurora High School started in a warehouse back in the 60s here in Calexico. In the 70s, it moved to the Methodist Church. From 79 to 2016, it was housed at the old Hoffman Elementary School. And now we have a new home next to Blanche Charles, the temporary Blanche Charles building. Our slogan, "A New Beginning," holds true, because every time we move, it's a new beginning. I'd like to introduce the staff today. We have from our Spanish department, Mr. Mauro Araiza. Come up, Mauro. From our English department, we have Jasmine Godinez. From our social science department, we have Leticia Cerros. And from our mathematics department, we have Claudia Mesa. This is not the whole staff. We still have approximately 8 more teachers and approximately 15 to 20 classified employees that couldn't make it. We're very proud of all of them, the hard work that they do. Again, I thank you very much for this honor.
No problem. You deserve it.
And also, I'd like to present to Aurora High School. We have a framed certificate, which will also be getting a plaque for the school. It says, in recognition for being named as a model continuation high school by the California Department of Education and the State Superintendent of Public Instruction. Thank you again, Aurora staff. Thank you.
There's cake and coffee. There's cake and coffee for them. John.
We're going to go take a 5-minute break. That way, if you guys want to enjoy some cake and coffee, then we'll be right back. Coffee and cake. G3, safety presentation.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on with a safety presentation, just to give the board a presentation in regards to how we work in regards to safety, here in our district, safety being a priority. And we want to focus on what we've been doing in regards to safety as far as our facilities, also focusing on the implementations of our programs for the purpose of safety, and also what is it that we're doing to meet the social and emotional needs of our students. So that's going to be the focus of our presentation to the trustees tonight. And so we have our presenters, Ms. Elisa Ramirez, and it's going to be a few of our staff, because when it comes to safety, it's not just one individual, it's collectively a group that works together for the purpose of ensuring the safety of our schools and of our students, of our staff, and overall of our community. So I'd like to, first of all, commend Mr. Price. He was able to get some of these pictures. And as we're looking at these pictures, we're looking at the history of Calexico Unified School District. The district has been servicing our community, providing excellent education for over 100 years. And over that time, there are changes, but with those changes, we all change. But nonetheless, the services that are provided are top-notch, they're excellent, and so we're continuing with that tradition, and in continuing with that tradition, there comes change. But with that change, in our case at this point, we are looking at the safety and security of our students. So with that, we want to show that throughout the 100 years that Calexico Unified School District has been in existence, there's been changes, but throughout that time, all the changes are good ones, including what we do now for our students when it comes to safety. Go ahead.
Good evening. So what I've done is I've included some photographs that show the history of Calexico and Calexico High School. And that's, as Mr. Gonzalez said, it's been in existence for over 100 years. And at present, I think we're continuing to do great things for kids, serving the community to the best of our ability. And so these photographs were taken from yearbooks from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. And if you look at the bottom photo, out of interest, there's a photo of William Moreno. And he is, the junior high school is named after him. And that was him when he was a junior class officer when he was in high school at Calexico High School. Okay, in addition, on the left, there's a photo of the school board from 1939. And there's an appreciation as a result of them having been responsible for the construction of a brand new gymnasium. And there's no doubt in my mind that at that point in time, having the construction of a gym was the right thing to do. And so there are some photos there, And there's a photo of the basketball team. And the opening slide was titled Moments in Time. And at present, we're in a particularly very unique and very challenging moment in time. And just as school boards have done in the past, they've made excellent decisions on behalf of the community in an effort to advance scholastic achievement and provide emotional well-being. And they, in my estimation, have made the right decisions along the way. I think very highly of the board that we have at present. And I think what you need at this moment is the right information so you can continue making the right decisions and doing great things for the kids in our community. And so, having said that, I'm going to pass the remote to Ms. Ramirez.
Good evening. 3 years ago, we established our district safety committee. We have representatives from all sites and different departments. And as a team, we came up with this district safety committee mission statement. So the mission of the CUSD safety committee is to develop, promote, and maintain a safe and healthy environment for all staff, students, and community. And we had a task. We were charged as a committee to develop and oversee the implementation of the comprehensive school safety plans for all the sites, and also provide resources for our staff. We also create a cycle of continuous improvement for school safety. We ensure that all students are guaranteed a safe school learning environment and school climate and culture that fosters scholastic achievement and social emotional well-being. And we involve a continuous development, guidance, implementation, refinement, and monitoring cycle. As part of our committee, we evaluate existing emergency procedures, and here are just some of the sub-bullets or bullets of things that we've done or accomplished over time. So in 2015, we talked about uniformity. Everybody has different procedures, but at the very end, it's for the same reasons. So at that time, we also determined, for example, that for our lockdown drills, the bells, that we go with the long bell. The color cards was at that point not a recommendation. We did have first responders as part of our committee. Back then, the Chief McCall was here with us, and so some of the recommendation came from the departments. In our discussions, we also make sure that when we're doing our safety plans, we ensure that we address the special needs students, for example, wheelchairs and how we evacuate our students. Our lockdown emergency kits were purchased in 2017. We actually had some of them since 5 years ago, but some of the materials had already been expired. Through this committee, we also looked at different emergency management system, and this year we purchased, or last year purchased Catapult, and we just received training a couple of weeks ago for our staff, or the majority of our staff. We also had Calexico High School do some safety presentations in some of the conferences that they attended. In addition, we established emergency procedures and ensure that there was binders at every site for our substitute teachers and for our regular teachers. Calexico High School did a presentation and talked about prevention and mitigation and how prevention is important through the environmental design of the sites, something that we have been addressing over time. We also talked about risk assessments and the different surveillance, and we're wanting to implement school incident maps. We do have radios that we purchased through our LCAP. We have lock blocks right now, so that in case of emergency, doors are always locked, and in case we needed to go into lockdown, we just turn off the lock block or move it so that it locks. We had some sites start installing cameras since 2013, and as you know, currently we're trying to have cameras installed at all sites, and are looking into a consultant for the installation of the cameras. And then we also installed AEDs at each site, including MNO, district office, and all out here in the fields, we have one at the concession stand. In addition, every year we participate in the Great California Shakeout.
Good evening, trustees. I'm going to talk a little bit about evaluating the school's ingress and egress, which is our places and points of access for entrance and exit. One of the things that after evaluating back starting in 2012 and 2013, we decided to, with those two sites, Mains and Kennedy Gardens, close the campuses for student pickup and drop-off. that students or parents would have not the option to wait on campus to pick up their kids. So in order to get on campus, you would have to go through the office and go through the sign-in process. Implementing the visitor sign-in and sign-out process at all of our school sites, a badge requirement for all of our staff when on campuses or visiting campuses, the pass that you have to wear when you sign in at the front gate, that you have to wear a pass that says visitor if you are on campus and not a student or a staff member. We took a look at assessing our crossing guard needs district-wide. We've rerouted the gates to ensure that when parents, students, visitors enter the campus, especially doing student time at Dual, Cesar Chavez, Rockwood, and Blanche Charles, we rerouted them through the main office so that there weren't multiple points of entrance. And that was a pretty extensive, especially for like Rockwood, where the office was way, the trailer for the office was way in the back. Well, we've now rerouted or reconfigured that main office to where it sits right on the main street, so you have to walk through the main gate to get in. At Dual, we've put those lovely gates up so that you have to be routed there. So a lot of work to make sure that we have visible and monitor points of entry that can be monitored, and we'll know who is entering and exiting on our campuses. There are we've also pending at the 9th grade, which we know, and at Cesar Chavez. Well, the 9th grade is kind of open. But I would like to point out that we do have a proctor that is there during school hours to monitor folks that are entering and exiting the campus. What we're looking at with the M&O department is trying to figure out a way so we can get some fences up there. One of the things we'd like to do, because it's just open, you can enter from the, one side of the gym, and then there's that middle entry there, and then there's the office side. So there's a lot of points of entry there. So we're looking at putting some gates that are not unattractive, but so it doesn't look really bad, I guess I should say, but it's still inviting. It still looks like a school environment to try to mitigate some of those entrance points, or at least have us control so that they would have to enter through the main office there. So that's something that we're looking into doing. The same with the kinder area at Cesar Chavez. At Jefferson, we've installed the panic hardware. At Enrique Camarena, we've done the swinging plates, and one of the things we're also looking at Enrique Camarena, they have the kind of the large point of entry, which also has a proctor there at the front. But we're looking to see if we can't, ideally we'd like to turn the trailer around, but it's kind of expensive to do that. So if there are things that we can do to either put some gates there to route, once school starts, we close that big open main gate and then have a gate that directs any visitor to enter through the front, or enter through the front office. And or if we can be a little bit creative, can we, build a door? Can we put a door on the back of the trailer with a ramp or something, like just try to be as creative as we can to ensure that during school hours that we know who's on our campuses. The high school has closed the tennis court entrance so that we, again, can have the entry at the front of the school, and that all visitors can check in through the front. The band drop-off has moved to Circle Drive instead of at the employee parking lot for students to be dropped off. And Aurora and ABE have one centralized entrance that I would also like to mention, that there is a security guard that also sits on point in front of the school. Okay, I don't know how to do that. Thank you. Okay, so what we've included here, these are just some photos. This is Dual, and that's that new fencing that was done to reroute to the main entrance of Dual. That's Rockwood, the front of the school. And at Blanche Charles, we had our, it used to be that you would walk directly into the front of Blanche Charles, and folks would just bypass the office. So our staff in the M&O department built that double doorway entry here so that now that stays locked, and all folks that want to enter onto the campus at Blanche Charles have to go through the main office and sign in order to get in the school. At Cesar Chavez, those gates were installed there. And to the right, we've put up the, for parking and for traffic, those, I can't think of what they're called right now, but the like the cones, but are dividers, so that the flow of traffic can continually go. In addition to, this is something new that we're trying here. This just went up this week, for that gate there for parking, to alleviate the stress of, and danger to students' safety as they're crossing across there, while cars are driving through there. So that's something that just was put up this week. At CHS 9, this is just kind of an idea of what I was talking about, those multiple points of entry that we're looking to get some gates there, so that, again, there is one centralized point of entrance onto the campus, and that all visitors must sign in the campus. And the very same thing here at Enrique Camarena. That's the trailer, and where Lisa had the little green pointer, that's the entrance into the office. So what we're going to do is weigh our options with either putting a fence that would route them once that double fence is closed, and or see if we can even get a door or something on that side of the trailer, if that's something that's a viable option to do something like that.
Last year, we purchased the visitor management system, again funded through the LCAP. And so what this does is every visitor that goes in must present their ID. The only information that's captured is your date of birth, name, and picture. And it's cross-referenced with the sex offender database that is constantly being updated on a daily basis. And so it alerts if there's even a possible match, or what we call a positive match or a negative match. And so that has been in place since last year. Okay, the evaluation and development of the medical emergency response plan, this also came up through our safety committee, and this was to address a faster response to our 911 or our medical incidents. And so now there's easier access for first responders. We have zone maps, again, that the fire department worked in the development, and easier access. And we, for example, when a responder has to enter, we have who's in charge of opening gates, who's in charge of taking them to the designated areas. It's just to get there at a much faster pace. And then this year, we purchased the emergency management system, which is Catapult. Again, we looked at different options. This was the one we selected for this year. And so it has different levels where people can, if they have an incident that they want to announce, they'll go through the green. That'll go to the site safety team, and as a district, we get to see also what's happening at the site. They can elevate that to a code yellow, which is an alert. It's not necessarily a lockdown, but it just informs teachers, for example, you know what, maybe a mile away, there's a gunshots happening, and it's not necessarily at your school, but be on alert. You don't have to necessarily lock down. And then you can actually change that to code red, where we decide we want to go with active shooter. We do the run, hide, fight, or we do the lockdown or shelter in place, but through text, email, or phone calls, we're communicating. We have the option of chatting with each other, so that now we're communicating, whereas before, we didn't know what's happening at the sites, or and people were trying to text back and forth. So now we have that internally. In addition, the Catapult people are also on the system, and so whenever they're monitoring and just seeing how we react, and in case they notice something that we haven't done, they'll make recommendations. Have you guys done this? Have you thought about this? So they're constantly monitoring us. The anonymous bullying reporting, that's something that is part of the program, and what Catapult has recommended is that first we get the used to the Catapult, and then eventually we're going to have that link attached to the district website, or even the school site's websites. And here's just a picture of one of our trainings. We were at the 9th grade campus. One of the things that we did notice that we had a lot of people at the gym, and some of our routers, we didn't have enough routers in there. So we did speak to our principals to start doing some of the drills and just learn how to use the system, and then to provide some training. Our administrators did receive a trainer of trainers in the morning session, so they are prepared to start training the rest of the staff or any of the staff members who missed the training. One
of the other things that is a big part in safety is staffing. And what we wanted to show on this slide, some of the measures that the district has taken to increase staff and student safety, especially while on campus. So we've increased our noon duty aides not per site. We've increased noon duty aides per site, not 23 per site, but over the years from 2014 to present, we have district-wide additional 23 noon duty aides. We've increased campus security district-wide by 4. We've increased our crossing guards by 6. We've added our school resource officer, or our SRO, to the district, and that was new this year. And we've also increased instructional aides by 4 across the district. So we do have Ms. Brisa Huerta Price. She is part of our safety committee, our district safety committee, and she ensures that whatever we decide as a team for the regular school day, that we also consider anything that happens in the after-school program. So some of the things that came out through our safety committee is, for example, is just the visibility of our after-school program coordinators and supervisors. So now they have an attire, they have a shirt that were purchased for all the employees. They also do emergency drills that are very similar to the regular day, but they have much simpler plans because they have less staff on board during those hours. The student accountability, we use 2 different systems to account for students, one for the after-school program and one for the regular day. So now we have our regular day attendance clerks providing reports to our after-school program so that they know which students were absent for the day. We still have a concern about having open campuses in the afternoon. So one of the things that we were doing is we're rerouting entrances for the after school for visitors. So your after school entrance is not necessarily your main entrance that you use during the regular day. It could be one of the side doors that's closer to the ACES office or the assets offices. And then recently we switched the sign outs so that everybody is now at a centralized area, which is the cafeteria or the main office of the different sites. And that's to close down the campuses and have one main entrance for student pickup. Every site does different assemblies during the school year, and so, for example, one of the things that they do is they have assemblies for school rules, for expectations, for consequences. They hold different types of bullying presentations at the beginning or during the school year, and they bring different entities to come and do these presentations. I know that Border Patrol has been very involved in doing some of these presentations. We also have different ways of promoting positive behaviors in our sites. Some sites use character counts, others use 7 habits, and then, for example, Jefferson is now implementing the Leader in Me. Also, every year, a requirement is that the teachers present digital citizenship lessons to our students, and some of the topics that are discussed are student self-image and identity, relationships and communication, cyberbullying, internet safety, digital footprint, privacy, and security. That's yours. So again, when we talk about safety, we're trying to look at the safety as a whole. You know, as Mr. Gonzalez had mentioned, we do live here in Calexico where it gets warm, to say the least. So we have taken summer heat safety measures where the district has added numerous shade structures across the district. We've added water chillers. We have, at every school site, we have cool zones, which are our libraries, the gyms, classrooms, and multipurpose rooms. And what that means is on those hot, very hot days, we open up these facilities for students to come in. They can have their lunch or they can watch a movie just to get them out of the heat. We send home letters to our parents to discuss and to provide tips for preventing heat exhaustion. And the policy that has been adopted across the district is that when we hit the 95 degrees outside, then let's plan for physical education or indoors versus outside. In addition to that, these are not all of the pictures, but these are just some examples of the things that have been implemented around our district. We've upgraded and modernized our water fountains. We have installed the water filling stations. And those are just some examples of those at the different and various sites. What Elisa is pointing to there, that's the water chiller that's associated with the water fountain, and that's just an installed one in one of the buildings so that the kids can have cool water while outside. And here are some examples at 3 different sites of some of the various shade structures that have been installed around the district. Also, our kids travel on foot, or a lot of our kids do, to school. So we, certainly want to represent our district top notch. And this is just an example of an old crosswalking sign and the new that I'm sure some of you, or we've seen them out in our community, and we've actually received quite a bit of compliments on those. It's very visible, and it certainly assists our crossing guards out there when they are crossing our kids across the street on these very busy highways.
And over the course of 3 years, we've done many trainings, and we try to incorporate as many of them during our August and our October district-wide PD. But for example, right now, one of the things that we are working with is we're piloting the active shooter through a scenario and working through outside agencies at Calexico High School. So that's something that is new. But the idea is that we start at the high school, and then from there we move down to the junior highs, and then eventually to the elementary sites. We had, like I said, different kinds of assemblies. We have trainings on how to address and how to identify disgruntled and bullied students. We've had CPR, first aid, and AED trainings over the past 3 years, and every 2 months we schedule them, and it's open to anybody who wants to take these courses on Saturdays. Our nurse does multiple kinds of trainings for not only for our health techs, but also for our staff for when they go on field trips. We have also the Crisis Prevention Institute, or better known as CPI, and we are sending 2 of our administrators to receive the trainer of training, so that they start training as many staff as possible. For right now, we only have 2 individuals at the county level doing these trainings, and so we want to invest in having our own staff trained so that they can provide the service to our staff. We also have conscious discipline implemented at different sites. Our campus security has received training from Calexico PD on command presence. Our crossing guards received their training annually in August. Counseling psychologists have different kinds of trainings throughout the year with the Imperial Behavioral Health. We've also had a suicide training. As per Ed Code, we have to ensure that we have a policy, student suicide prevention, intervention, and postvention. And so we developed the policy, and we had all of our administrators, including some of our district administrators, trained on ASSIST, which is a applied suicide intervention skills training. We also had our counselors and psychologists and our clinical social worker and our district nurse and homeless liaison also trained in ASSIST. We also did Safe Talk, which is a simpler version of our suicide training for all of our staff at the beginning of this school year. And we also have suicide posters that were created by our psychologist and our clinical social worker and are posted around our schools. In addition, at the beginning of the year, every site administrator has to have the sexual harassment, the child reporting, safety plan trainings at the beginning of the school year. And then every year we also attend the Safe School Conference. This year we were able to take some of our safety committee members to the conference, and many of those ideas that we've received, that we've gone through our conference, is what we bring back. So for example, Catapult, Raptor, they all came from those trainings. Also the lockdown buckets, we also saw that out there at the trainings.
Good afternoon. Ooh, this is not on. Yes. Oh, okay. Good afternoon, board members, or good evening. We are really, really lucky to be able to have a licensed clinical social worker, which is an LCWS, at the Family Resource Center, providing services for our students on campus. So there are times that she provides the services at the Family Resource Center, but most of the time she is at the campus providing one-on-one services with our families. You see all the different bullets the different things that she's done. She's been really, really good in bringing in, for example, the ASSIST training for our administrators, counselors, and our school psychologists. She's assisted us with our suicide prevention policies and also our handbook that we are going to now train the rest of our staff with that once we bring behavioral health and the police department with that. She does ongoing coordination with social support services also. One thing that she also does, which is really, really beneficial, is during her case management, she'll go out and she'll meet with the school the psychiatrists from behavioral health that are working with the students or any other agency. She also attends the IEPs or SSTs. And so she case manages, so what she does in her case management is the therapy. So she'll work with our highest risk students for about 6 to 8 weeks. And it's really, really nice when we know that she's exiting, and when she exits a high risk student, that means that student is doing really, really well. And that's some of the services that she provides for our students. And she also has done a lot of training. She's gone out to all our schools and done the Safe Talk training with all our teachers. And the Safe Talk training is, what are the red flags? What do you look for in a student? So I'm really, really happy that we have our clinical social worker on board. Sorry. It's not over. There it is.
Okay, the next group of individuals in our district who help ensure safety of our students at our respective school sites are the school psychologists. And although two of their primary functions, one is to ensure compliance with special education law and assess students to determine whether or not they qualify for special education services, they also work with our general education population. And as a team, it's a group of individuals that really do go above and beyond. So the services that they provide to our students, these are a few. If I were to list all of them, they wouldn't fit on the slide. But they support and facilitate IEPs, 504 plan, accommodation and management, and the SST process. They conduct assessments. These assessments include threat, risk, functional behavioral analysis, and psychoeducational assessments. They create and review personal safety plans and behavioral intervention plans. They have, in the last couple of years, established a wonderful program of inclusion called Circle of Friends. This is a research-based program that has been shown to diminish bullying on school campuses. When necessary, they do referrals to outside agencies as appropriate. These outside agencies include the Family Resource Center, ICBH, San Diego Regional Center. If necessary, they will contact dispatch for 5150. They refer to ICOE and so forth. They also consult and collaborate with all stakeholders in our district. They provide student check-ins daily and weekly to monitor overall mood and behavior. And in addition, they provide individual counseling and construct interventions pertaining to academics, grief, conflicts, anger, depression, suicide, health, psychosis, self-harming, and prosocial behaviors. And then another group of individuals within our district is our counselors. And we are fortunate that we have a counselor now at every school site, including our elementary schools. And these are some of the services that they provide to our students. So oftentimes I think there's a false mindset or a belief that counselors simply create schedules for students, but our counselors do much more than that. They are also currently working with an individual named Dr. Hatch and another individual named Daniel Duarte. These are two of the foremost experts in the counseling field in the United States, and we have a contract, and so they are working with the ASCA model, and they are continuing to improve and refine their skills. And as I said, in addition to what we would expect them to do, they're a visible presence at our school sites. They work with at-risk students. They provide crisis intervention, emergency response. They're members of the site safety team. They're responsible for conducting the Healthy Kids Survey. They provide guided lessons on empathy, respect, conflict resolution, responsibility, and growth mindset. They provide bullying awareness and prevention. They're involved in the character counts activities, and they support student study teams, behavior intervention plans, and 504 plans for students, in addition to also being present for our students' individual education program.
And as we work with our safety committee, there's many recommendations that we discuss every meeting that we hold. And so some of the things, for example, that we've talked about and mentioned is the renumbering of our classroom wings, where we put numbers or letters on the side walls or even on the roof, so that rooms are easily identified. Making our golf carts visible. We have different carts, for example, at the high school, and so when we have our first responders come in, they recommend that we flag one of them. So if we know that a red flag means this is the one that's going to take us to the place of the incident, that we work with our first responders and then with that communication. We do have Knox boxes in all of our campuses, but one of the recommendations is that inside we put color-coded keys so that they know which keys open what parts of the school. We discussed having Kevlar blankets, for example, for some of our trailers, because we know that if there was to be a shooting, bullets do go through our trailers, unlike our regular buildings. We discussed having more types of signage, even signage that says, cameras are monitoring on campus, or you need ID validation to come in. We discussed holding district drills. So if we do the Great California Checkout for the earthquake once a year, that we do maybe one district-wide lockdown, one district-wide emergency drill. We've talked about PBIS. Different schools are doing smaller programs than PBIS, but one of the things we like to do is the PBIS program district-wide, so that we all have uniformity. The other thing we discussed is public access bleeding control stations, and you might want to share a little bit more about what that is, Mr.
Well, the technology is new, and it's similar to an AED device. And what we would do is we would have one of these devices at every school site. And if in the event a student were in a horrific incident, shot or bleeding, this device would assist in preventing that student from bleeding out. And so it would come at a cost for district-wide of less than $13,000 to have one of these devices at each school site. The other device or apparatus that is on there is called the Barracuda Intruder Defense System. And many of the doors at our school sites are very difficult to lock, particularly doors that may be at multi-purpose rooms at some of our elementary school sites. And so what this is, it's a removable device that can be placed on a door, and it instantly locks it from the inside, and it prevents an intruder from being able to enter.
And I know there's one that I already missed that I know we talked about, is rekeying our schools. Many of our doors have to lock through the outside, so in case of a lockdown, we would have to go through the outside to lock the door. So I know it's something that we are hoping to include in the LCAP, so that over time, every school has an opportunity to be rekeyed. We talked also about campus security and proctors for our after-school programs. In the past, we were able to fund them through the after-school monies, but now that's not allowable. So I know we have plenty of discussions of that. We're also looking at having our San Diego State's, our LCSW interns to see if they can complete some of their intern hours here at our district. And then we've also looked into having a board-certified behavior analyst at the district level. I know there's much more that we can add, but just some of the few things that we have recommended over the next couple of years. And that's it for our presentation. Questions?
Any questions, board members? I have two questions. You already answered one about the interns, so that's good. I think that'll be a big help for the campuses. Just quickly, so you mentioned PBIS. Is that something the district is exploring, options going district-wide?
Yes, so every school is doing little programs here and there, but what we would like to do is look at a comprehensive PBIS program. Because eventually we're also looking into applying through ICOE for a grant for the multi-tier MTSS, and so that is just one component of it.
And staff have been going through the MTSS training?
We're hoping that we can get that grant through ICOE. Yeah, so we'll be working with ICOE and applying for that grant.
How about, does each site have someone who can immediately assess students who are at risk of self-harm or 5150s and send them to behavioral health?
Yes, we do.
Each site can do that immediately?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Who would do that?
We'll have the counselor, and then we do have psychologists that we share. We do share school psychologists, right? But so we would immediately call on one of our district psychologists. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and every administrator was trained for the assist.
Any other questions?
So I'd like to thank Ms. Ramirez, Ms. Randall, Mr. Price, and Ms. Armendariz. This is a presentation that we've put together to the board just to again, show what we're doing in regards to safety. This is a presentation also that we'll be taking out to the community. Actually, there'll be a LCAP community forum meeting that will be presenting it as well. But as you can see, the district is in the forefront when it comes to a lot of the facilities upgrades that have been done, when it comes to a lot of the programs that are in place, like the team mentioned, with Catapult, with Raptor, when it comes to being able to identify any potential threats that may be coming in through our doors, and when it comes to the social and the emotional needs of our students. And none of this could have been possible without the support of the board, so thank you.
Well, thank you. Moving on, G4, attendance update.
And we'll have Ms. Armendariz.
Thank you. Attendance presentation, it's going to be a two-part. One, I'm going to go through the slides, but it's two-part. Part one is going to be our ADA, and the second part is going to be our chronic absences. Okay. Goal 4, what is our goal? Expected annual measure outcome. So our goal is that this year in 17-18 that we maintain an ADA at or above 96.5. And we won't know if we have met it until we finish with P2. So P2, as you see, if I can get this there, P2 is from the first day of school until the 23rd of March. And for our chronic rates, our goal is that we are at a 10% or less. And our measuring time will be from the first day of school until the end of the school, and that's what the P3 is. We've come a long, long way with our attendance. I've collected at least 9 years worth of attendance comparison. If you can see our attendance from 2009 to even all the way to our P1. And our P1, remember, is up to, I think it was February, the 20-something of February. So in 9 years ago, for example, 94% BC, and last year they finished at 96. So these are the actuals from last year. We won't know until after our P2. So just compare, we've really come from a long, long way of knowing or just focusing. And I really, really appreciate our board that you have focused on attendance. And, with the recognition, and everybody is just wanting to know where am I with my percentages, or where am I with my chronic absences. What I do on a monthly basis, and it's not like September, October, November, it's not a calendar month. For example, this month 7, if you see down here, you see the date. It's from January 29th to February 23rd. So what I do on a monthly basis, I send the data to our site, so where are you with your percentages? And so what I did here for month 7, I compared where they were last year, not so much month 7, but how did they finish last year? So last year, CUSD, we were at 95.44, after we finished the year. And right now for month 7, we are at 95. This data I took on the 23rd, so this does not even include any Saturday schools or anything like that. So this is the data that I've been able to provide to our staff, and our staff can also get this data from our A2A. Remember that we hired A2A to help us with our all our truancy letters, so they can get the reports from there too. Our students are doing really well with their attendance, the majority of our students. If you see this data, this is total absence summary year to date. If you see all the students, we have 2,675 students who have excellent attendance. That's 28% of our students. Then we have 3,746 students which is 39.2, which are satisfactory. If you go down on the bottom, 67% of our students fall in the excellent or satisfactory groups. 32 fall in the manageable, chronic, and severe. And this is the students that we have to focus on to be able to assist them. Total absences year to date. So there are 4 different categories how we identify students, either by truancy rates, and truancy rates are any student that has 3 or more unexcused absences. So right now, we have 23% of our students that have 3 or more unexcused absences. Then we have the EEA, that's excessive excused absences, and 9% of our students fall under that category, and as you see, we have 933 students. Then chronic truancy rate is, we have 306 students that have missed unexcused absences 10% of the time. And the total chronic, that is any student that has more than 10%, we have a total of 11.3 at this time. Remember, our goal is 10%. How does attendance impact us financially? So every year, and this is new information that we just received of how much funding we receive. TK through third, a funding of $10,882 per student. So on a daily basis, we received about $60 per student per day that they need to attend school. 4th through 6th, we receive 55.31. 7th through 8th grade, we receive 56.94. 9th through 12th, we receive 67.71. So every day that a student is not in school, that's the amount of money we do not receive. So what we did here, let's say that we have 11 students that are absent per day for each of these different grade levels for 180 days, okay? We already are missing close to $2 million. And then what happens if they're out? If we have 15 absent students per day for 180 days, that is already $2.6 million. Yes,
If every day,
we have 11 absent students.
no, but if you, on the right side, if every day we have 15 in TK through third, 15 in 4th through 6, 15 in 7th through 8, and 15 9 to 12.
Per
So
grade span.
Every day we have 60 kids absent, that's how much we would lose a year.
So what we did is March 1st, 2017. That was last year, probably about one day before our LCAP when we were reviewing Goal 4. So what we did is we totaled how many students were absent per school, TK through third, we had 103. That day, we did not receive $6,000. $6,000. 4th through 6th, we had 50 students that were absent. That day, we lost this amount of money. 7th through 8th, we had 24 students that were absent. We lost this amount of money. 9th through 12, 90 students. So total, just on March 1st, we did not receive $16,000 one day. So one day equals 16,159. What happens if it's the 180 days? So for 180 days, if we have that amount of students absent, we've already lost close to $3 million. Then what we did on February 26th, we did the same thing. This was a Monday, and this was also a day before our LCAP meeting. We did the same thing. TK third, we had 211 students absent. 4th, 6th, 110. 7th, 8th, 14. 9th, 12, 125. So this is the different funding by grade spans, and for that day, we lost $23,000 on that Monday. And if we continue to have absences like that, 180 days, we've lost $5 million in one day. Sorry, in one year. So if we have, yes, sorry, yeah, $5 million in 1 year. So you can imagine what we can use $5 million worth. I also wanted to share with you what we've been doing with Saturday schools. So we do invite a lot of our students to come to Saturday school. We can mandate that they show up to Saturday school if they have unexcused absences. We can invite them to show up to Saturday school if they have excused absences, but we can't mandate them. So right now, for 17-18 Calexico Unified School District, we had a total of 2,369 students that have made up 3,651 days. And all we ask is for our students to come to school 4 hours a day on a Saturday. So now I'm going to switch over to what is chronic absences, because this is what we're being measured. We have to, our goal is that we will not have more than 10% of our students being chronically absent. So what is chronic absence? Chronic absence is missing 10% or more of the school year for any reason. This includes excused and unexcused absence. So any absence, if we're going to measure if they're not in school every day and on time, and this is where we're going to get these percentages from. Right now, or last year, we were at a 14.5 chronic absenteeism rate. As you see, Imperial County had 11% and statewide 10%. Now this is the shift that we need to start, as not only looking at percentages with how our schools are doing with their ADA. This is what we need to start looking at and measuring our schools by chronic absenteeism. This is a really, really important slide because absent kids have harder lives. And 83% of students chronically absent in kindergarten and transitional kinder, and first grade, they will not be able to read by third grade. Students who are not able to read by third grade, they are 4 times more likely to drop out. And you know what? High school dropouts are 8 times more likely to be incarcerated. So what I did was then I checked our data. This was yesterday's data. Wanted to see how many of our transitional kinder through first grade students have been identified as chronically absent. And right now, we have 177 students. Then what we have here is chronic rates by school. And we went from the highest, our goal is the lowest, okay? So we went from the highest schools of having chronic absenteeism to the lowest school. So remember, this is 10%. So right now, I think we're about on the 19th day of school, if I have it correct, so 10% of that. So this is what, these are the chronic students. Through our program with A2A, we could just click on this and it will tell us exactly who those students are. So what else is A2A doing? They're helping us with the mailing of all the letters, and all the letters means, right now they've assisted us with mailing out 6,729 letters. They've mailed out the first truancy letters, then that means if a student has had 3 or more unexcused absences. So this is the total amount of letters that they've mailed out. What we need to focus on now is the conferencing. Because when our sites, when our administrators or our SSTs or our SARTs or our IEP teams are meeting with parents to talk about the laws of attendance and the impact on academics, that's what's going to make the difference. So what we also did is we had 188 students that we've already conferenced. And what I mean by conference is that we've had a one-on-one talk, we've had an SST, a SART, or an IEP, or maybe we had a general meeting where we talked to parents about the students' absences. So this is really good data that before, these 188 students, they had accumulated 615 days of absences, and after their conferencing, they've only accumulated 236. So that's why I'm saying that that's where we need to focus on, and having those conferences with our parents. This is also really, really good data that A2A provided. That, well, I can even just get it from the A2A. We have an average, right now I just showed you what we had a one day of absence, but we have an average daily absences of 415 students per day, okay? The blue, what is the blues? Okay, we have the blue that says, I cannot even read. Okay, the below average, but the red, but look at what the red is, way above, well above average. So we have our Mondays and we have our Fridays. Okay, and we really need to concentrate as a district and schools. What are we going to do in December to make sure that our students are attending school? Because those are the days that we have, or that's the month that we have more absences. What are we doing? So attendance monitoring and intervention, what are we doing? We're providing parent trainings on attendance laws and the impact that chronic absences have on academic success. We're having conferences, like I said, we're having SSTs, SARTs, IEPs. We're having general parent meetings where we're talking about attendance. We're having one-on-one meetings. We're doing the phone calls to address attendance. We're sending out the letters. We're having students on attendance contracts where the student, the parent, and the administrator signs. We have SARP hearings, and we are assisting our schools through the whole SARP process. We have lots and lots of incentives. We have the monthly monitoring to provide attendance data to sites and parents. And like I said, we have the A2A attendance letters. We have home visits. We have Saturday schools. And this is our goal. Every day and on time, attendance in school makes all the difference, and this is what we want. We want each of our students to be able to graduate. Any questions, board members?
Questions?
Yes.
Can you share how attendance and even expulsions affects the district or with the dashboard for Elisa?
Okay, to ask, if attendance affect the dashboard?
Attendance, expulsions,
Yes.
affecting the district,
Yes.
results, or dashboard.
Yes, so the dashboard, what we're going to be measured on is on the chronic absences and also on our expulsion rates. So, on our suspension rates, on our suspension rates. So that's why we need to start focusing on that chronic absenteeism, because dashboard, that's where we're gonna get measured.
Next question. So the new program, A2A?
A2A.
Is that, so I know we invested in that last year, this board was
Yes.
committed to that. Are we seeing results from that
Yes.
program? It's
We
making a
are.
difference?
We are seeing results, and what I did during the week, if I reached out to our attendance clerks, because I wanted to hear it firsthand from them of what is it that they like, don't like, what is it that they need help in. And right now, a lot of people are still really comfortable with with Synergy. So what they're wanting to do is both Synergy and A2A. So what we're going to do is we're going to have another training. We're having a 2-day training where we're going to bring our counselors on board, and we're going to bring our attendance staff on back to trainings, and our administrators. Because I want administrators and even our attendance staff and even our counselors to be able to pull that data themselves, not have to send it to them, because all it is, it's a click. I mean, you saw those the graphs. All you need to do is click on that graph, and you'll be able to see who your students are.
So the last question I'll ask. So we saw our district, Calexico, was above the county average.
Chronic absences,
Chronic
yes.
absences. And then we saw data for P1.
Mhm.
Do you have data for the average school year, maybe from last year? P1, that's your first few months, first few weeks of school. So I think attendance is usually higher. when school
P1 is from the
starts.
first day of school all the way to February.
Okay, first half then. All
I
right.
put the dates back
Yeah.
here.
don't have P2 yet. I think the month 8 ends, I want to say
The 23rd.
this month, the 23rd.
It's
this month,
23rd.
So then we'll have our P2 report. So just kind of to further your question in regards, have we seen a difference with the software? We'll know at P2, but I know we're looking for at least a 1% increase, because we quantified that it was about a $900,000
Yes.
increase in revenue to the district if we even went up 1% in our attendance. So we'll know once we get our P2, and then again, we allow the Saturday school makeups and all that, so all of that will be calculated once the Monday ends up.
So I know, so who really is in charge of attendance? Is that your office with support from sites?
We're all in charge of attendance. I have a passion for attendance, so I've made myself in charge for attendance. So that's why you saw 9 years worth of attendance. Even when we weren't concentrating on attendance, I was making sure that our sites had all the data. When I say we are all in charge, because we all have to motivate our students to be in school every day and on time, and that motivation happens in the classrooms and happens at the site level.
So it's your passion as well, among other things.
Yes.
In the district. So again, with our chronic absenteeism, our
That's what we
data
need to
results, the sites, is there the need for additional staff just to focus on attendance? And I don't know, I'm just asking that question, to focus on interventions, attendance recovery, contacting parents, and I don't know.
This is where we need the support, is on that conferencing piece. It's the conferencing piece, it's either the SARTs, the student attendance review teams. So what happens is that we need subs to be able to cover. Either the schools call them SARTs, SSTs, or if a student is a special education student, we have an IEP. So that's where we need to focus, is on that conferencing, because not until parents see the impact of that transitional first or kindergarten student not coming to school and not being able to read by 3rd grade, and what's the impact of not being able to graduate. So we need to educate really our parents and even our staff on the importance of attendance. So we really need a lot of support and a commitment of that conferencing time.
Thank you.
Any other questions, trustees? Okay, moving on to H, comments from public. The board will take any and all comments from the public related to an item on the agenda or any other item of district business that is not on the agenda. We're going to start with Ms. Alonso Garza.
Good evening, Mr. President and fellow board members, Mr. Gonzalez and everyone in attendance. First of all, I just want to say Happy International Women's Day to all the women that are here, and to all of the women in your lives as well, for the men that are here. I think that it's really important to recognize something that's international. Today, I'm here to invite our board and our district to an unfortunate event that we had to plan. It's a March for Our Lives, and it's in support of the Parkland, Florida victims. You know, I know you're aware that even our district is being impacted by an event that happened on the other side of this country. And what we noticed at our campus, Enrique Camarena Junior High, is that our students were really emotional. And when there's that emotion, that social and emotional distraction, our kids don't learn. And I personally in the classroom, you know, experienced this. And so I gave them a pen and a journal, and I told them to journal about it. And then we had, you know, a couple of students that were trying to go with the movement across the country of walkouts. And thankfully, our administrator, Mr. Diego Romero, was able to give them a little platform on campus and keep them contained. And what we did as MAG Teens, and I'm the advisor for the Mothers and Men Against Gangs Coalition Club. It's a pilot club, but we're still working on it. We took the reins as leaders, and I gave the kids a voice. And I said, you know, you guys want to walk out, but it's not safe. You're worried, and I know school safety is something that you're worried about. So let's go ahead and do something but organized and safe. So we did research on what they're doing, and they came up with this march. And then they were like, well, it couldn't just be here because an imperial situation happened. So today we wanted to, before we send it out countywide, is to let our board and everyone in the district know that the MAG Teens, along with the umbrella, under the umbrella of Mothers and Men Against Gangs Coalition, is organizing the march in support that's nationwide. And I think what's key here is that we as the leaders of our children, let them be heard and give them that voice and that platform and build the leaders of tomorrow. So I've kind of let them, so during lunch, they've been going into my classroom, they make posters, and we as an organization are doing the organizing of, you know, the permits and everything that needs to happen so it'll be safe. What I'm hoping is that you guys will join us and also support it and get the word out through the district, so that we can all together help heal during this unfortunate nationwide event.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Javier Gonzalez.
Honorable President, Board, members of staff, my name is Javier Gonzalez. I'm here basically right now to say we've never been here before a resolution, so you guys have a resolution. We don't know if you're going to read it, but if not, we can read it. And we would like a picture with Mr. Eddie, who represents, you know, that all this is very confidential, but Eddie is very public on Down syndrome, so we would like We would like a picture with them. And now, why are we not doing the Down syndrome this year? Because this year we're focusing on health, safety, and environment. On April 28th, we're going to hold a big fair at Kennedy Gardens. John F. Kennedy Gardens is going to be in celebration of Earth and Arbor Day. We already talked to Mrs. Armelaris. We have a great team, the Calexico Health and Safety Coalition, and it was great, the presentation that they gave. We're organizing this event. McGraw, Sparky the dog, are going to arrive by air. They're going to, in the ground, it's going to be Mexican McGraw waiting for them. It's just going to be a fun-filled event at Kennedy Gardens. We're hoping all our kids be there. And regarding your safety, Kennedy Gardens is an official, I'm an official neighborhood watch captain for the National Neighborhood Watch for 20 years. I just talked to the maintenance. We're going to be installing signs during that week, neighborhood watch signs, and we want to install, since we're official, we want to install school watch. Those signs are yellow. I don't know if the Safety Coalition can buy them. They're just $65, but we don't have any money, but we're hoping to get a sponsor. So there's a lot of activities that are going to be coming up. That's why we're not celebrating Down syndrome, but we're hoping that with your resolution, we can work something out in the schools for Eddie and the kids that have Down syndrome. So I just want to let you know if we can take a picture with Eddie after if you approve the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to take a picture with Eddie?
Well, right now, after we
After
read the
resolution.
resolution. It's coming up in action items. So moving on to I, consent agenda. All items appearing will be acted upon by one motion without discussion unless any item is pulled for separate consideration and action.
So moved that we approve all items.
I'll second.
So motion by Mr. Romero, second by Mr. Castillo. All those in favor, state aye. Aye. In favor, Romero, Calderon Jr., Castillo, and myself. Moving on to J, information items. J1, superintendent's report.
Just a couple of items to report. You know, our students are doing so many things to represent us so proudly. We just had all of our CIF teams that we represented. I also want to acknowledge our CHS robotics team. They're actually in San Diego competing today and this week. Today they actually had the inspection and the pre-competition day. And so I want to report that the principal, Ms. Williams, is over there with our students as well. And the students passed the inspection, they move forward, and they'll actually now be in competition. So she reported that our students are doing amazing things when it comes to problem solving. So I just want to wish them luck as they represent us proudly in San Diego in the robotics competition. And then lastly, just in regards to school safety, we've sent a lot of communications to our staff and to our community in regards to currently what's going on in regards to the climate. And, you know, school safety continues to be our top priority. I commend our staff who presented today, who's been doing an excellent job on ensuring that our facilities are updated to make sure that the best safety is there for our students and staff. Our programs, our implementation, as were discussed earlier, when it comes to Catapult, when it comes to Raptor, you know, these are programs that there's a lot of time that has gone into them to actually be able to implement them. It's not something that we, you know, just yesterday began. They're fully implemented, but it's taken a long time to get us there, but they're in place. And then lastly, you know, we definitely have more staff on board who have been able to address all the social and the emotional needs of our students. So I just want to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to J2, Measure V update.
Good evening, trustees. I just have a brief update. Mr. Sanders will be here at the March 22nd board meeting to give an update and also present the parking lot final design, and that's going to happen at our March 22nd meeting. So that's the brief update for Measure V. As far as the Measure V Citizens Oversight Committee, We did advertise, it's been advertised in the paper, it's been on our marquees, on our websites, and the application deadline is tomorrow to replace those 2 members for the Oversight Committee. And those are my updates for this evening.
Thank you. Moving on to J3, association comments, ACT.
Good evening, school board. Yesterday evening marked the annual occasion of Read Across America, during which Calexico teachers volunteer their time to encourage reading and the love for books in the lives of our community's children at the Enrique Camarena Library. It was very well attended and remains a mainstay of our culture here in Calexico. Earlier today, ACT opened a dialogue with the superintendent regarding the possible closure of Imagine School in El Centro. If this for-profit business closes, Calexico will stand to recover hundreds of students who are zoned for our district. Many of the parents who chose to enroll their students in Imagine School did so because they offered a dual immersion program. In the dialogue with our superintendent, we have begun to discuss looking into a dual immersion program that can address the need these parents and students have for bilingual education. Tonight, ACT would like to also acknowledge and commend the efforts made by the district to communicate with and keep teachers informed about possible threats. Both district-wide and site-specific messages have gone out to teachers, which have helped to keep teachers in the loop regarding this issue of safety. So principals and Mr. Superintendent, please keep doing this. Communication is vital when it comes to safety. With safety in mind, ACT would like to make a recommendation regarding the security of our campuses. I will illustrate this recommendation using the high school as an example. At this site, the principal has refined precautions regarding the faculty parking lot. The entrance gate is kept closed and locked early in the morning now. This has been done, I would assume, because within that lot, there are potential entrances for unwelcome visitors. And if you go to the faculty lot at the high school, you'll see that there's a door gate that closes, and that's pretty effective. It locks when you close it. But there's a sliding gate, or actually I think it's a swing gate that goes toward the east side of the school that has a gap in it about this wide that anybody can fit in. So there's still potential for unwelcome visitors to bypass the entrance once that faculty lot is open at 7:30 for regular school traffic. The big recommendation that we have is, just like they have at a lot of apartment complexes, get a motorized gate opener, you know, for not just that gate, but any other gate that has potential entrances for unwelcome guests to a school. And just give, you know, you can give staff and teachers whatever it is, an opener that opens it when they drive their car up to it. I can't imagine it costs too much to ensure that we're not opening up parking lots to people who shouldn't go into our campuses. So maybe that could be added to the plans you guys have for safety. Finally, many months ago, a grievance was delivered to the school board by ACT with regard to class size overages not being honored for our vocational shop teachers. ACT wishes for this grievance to be settled with the acknowledgement that the superintendent has requested a meeting between the district and ACT and a mediator. And though we hope this meeting will be successful, ACT must nevertheless formally request a hearing before the board, made with the hope of settling this violation of our contract. We ask that this hearing be granted in April. As the sole representative of your educators, certificated educators, and in the spirit of proper labor relations, ACT formally makes this request in public and with this letter that I'm going to deliver to the board president and superintendent. This is just to get the process moving along. That is all I have tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. CSCA.
Good evening. Someone left their glasses here. Good evening, board and acting superintendent. Sonia Razona, CSCA president. I just want to inform you again. Yesterday we had our 12th session negotiations, still with the lawyer. You have good qualified administrators can do this job. Why do we have to pay a lawyer? How much have you paid this lawyer so far? Over 29,000. Who's benefiting out of the negotiation? The lawyer. Do we actually need a lawyer to do the negotiation with us? ACT doesn't have a lawyer. You don't have a lawyer with ACT. What's the difference with classifying the teachers? We do have a 2-me clause. We just still have 5%. Why are you holding on to it so much? Is it because you're waiting for the new superintendent? Or you're waiting for new board members? Because 3 of you are elections up in November. I think classified deserves better. Thank you.
Thank you. J4 Insurance Committee?
So we had our insurance committee on Monday, March the 5th. We have a great representation from ACT and CSEA. One of the first things that we always ask is there any issues or concerns when it comes to the membership in regards to their benefits, and we always get a good response that it's no, there's no concerns with the benefits. One of the things that we've been dealing with in the insurance committee is for the 18-19 school year, we initially received a 39% insurance quote as far as an increase. That has been brought down to 18.9%, which is still about 19%. Our concern, in the insurance committee is that this is still too high. In fact, this represents a $2.6 million increase to our health benefits, which is substantial. So we're still working in the insurance committee to try to see how we can bring this rate down. One of the things that we're working on is going out to market, which we're currently in the process of. So we'll keep the board updated in regards to, hopefully better news. Our next insurance committee is scheduled for Wednesday, March 28th at 3:30 p.m. here in the district office. Thank you.
Thank you. ROP Committee? Morning.
Just quick, thank you, quickly. Again, I think at this time, we're hearing a lot of good positive comments, communication regarding students participating at the fairgrounds with their animals, their projects. So we hear that in the community, so that's nice to hear. Kudos to our staff and our programs for the ag services they do there. Along the same lines, I think next Thursday, the 15th, is the Youth Ag Summit. So I know our programs have been invited to that. I don't know how many will participate, having come off the fair. I'm sure they're tired and rather sleep. Also, the 22nd of March is the countywide welding competition. So I think students have participated in that. Looking forward to that. As well as the 28th is the law enforcement competition. So I know Mr. Davies, I believe, is getting prepared for those. So a lot of activities happening there. Not to mention, again, John Moreno dancing at the gala Dancing with the Stars. So we'll look forward to those pictures and video maybe. And just finally, ROP has their scholarships available now online for students across the county. Calexico students have been recipients in the past. So I just want to remind, I guess, our schools that is available for students who are continuing their education. And ROP also has been supportive of the scholarships that the Educational Foundation here is offering as well. Thank you.
Thank you. LCAP?
So this week, we did our admin LCAP as a stakeholder input, and I think it was last week we did our CSEA also. So at this point, the only groups that I'm pending are our core committee, which are the committee that gets all these stakeholders' input to develop our plan, and then the students. I will be out for about a week for surgery, so as soon as I come back from that, I will start going to the sites and getting some input from our students. Tuesday of next week, we finish our community forum, LCAP Goal 6, which is on safety and facilities. So that's where we're going to provide some of the information that was shared today through for our safety update. And then the LCAP, I presented left some copies there of our LCAP update. We continue to purchase incentives, continue to go professional development. As a reminder, just our LCAP is really heavy on personnel, so if you see that there's still about half of the money there, it's because we still have to go all the way through June. So all our counselors are paid through here, a lot of our coordinators. There are a few items that you see here that are in yellow, and just because they are in yellow doesn't mean that we haven't addressed it. It's just that the monies are going to be expended towards the end of the year. For example, summer school, we've been planning for summer school since the beginning of January of this year. There's some items on articulation that we haven't touched on yet, and the articulation will start taking place around April when we start looking into our filters of how we're going to place our students for the following years. One of the other ones that's in yellow is our supplementary programs. Right now, we've been reaching out to our sites for some of our LTALs and our newcomer programs, and sites have not requested materials. So one of the things that we're considering doing with those monies is providing after-school programs for our students. In Goal 2, I know Mr. Padilla is busy, trying to get as many equipment and provide as many trainings as possible. For Goal 3, we have several trips that have been taking place, such as the Comienza con un Sueño. We took several sixth graders with their parents last week to UCSD. In addition, we have incentives everywhere in Goal 4 and in Goal 3 for our students. Goal 5 are parent trainings. I know Ms. Rendaris and the counselors are in charge of their parent institute. And so her goal was to get 150 parents graduated from the institute this year. Last year we had 100 parents that graduated through the institute. Our marquees, we have Cesar Chavez marquee is up. It just needs some wiring. And then right after that we have Kennedy Gardens, and we'll be done with the marquees that were scheduled for this school year. And then 6, our safety. We've spent a lot of our monies already for example, the shade structures that are coming up at the high school at Kennedy Gardens. We have the buckets that were already purchased and distributed to all the sites. The extra seating, the benches, I know our administrators are using all those monies to pay for all of their seating that goes outside of their shade structures. And then the personal equipment, you saw some of the signage that we purchased, so that came out of Goal 6 also. We also have a goal that is new this year on custodial equipment, where every site was given a small budget, but every year they're gonna get the same budget, where they get to choose an equipment that in previous years we have to share as a district. So for example, we had carpet cleaners that we had maybe 2 or 3 as a district, and we would have to check them out and take them to the sites. Well, now schools have the option of purchasing one for their site. It could be a carpet extractor, it could be a water extractor or a pump, it could be auto scrubbers. So the sites get to pick every year what they want to purchase, and that equipment will stay at the site. For Aurora, we purchased already the golf cart, and we also, I think they're about ready to put the exercise equipment. The things that are pending, and we had already talked to our architect, is the setting up a basketball court and the handball, and the other thing that's pending is the leveling of the field grass. And then the last one was our management emergency system, which we purchased, and we are already beginning the implementation through drills. And
Thank you.
that's it.
Thank you. Board reports? Mr. Romero?
Just congratulations to our student athletes and their coaches who have made us proud, and to La Loma High School for being named a model school.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Calderon?
Same thing, ditto to what Mr. Romero said. I think it's very rewarding to see all these kids doing what they do and being successful at extracurricular activities. Also, I just wanted to comment regarding all these plans that for safety that the district is proposing or that are highlighting. However, I do have a lot of people that talk to me, and I've talked to a lot of parents, and there's a lot of complaints out there. And I've tried to address them before. I don't get the answers. For example, one of the complaints is that the counselors, that they always you have all these things planned for the counselors at the elementary level. However, they spend half of their time doing admin duties because the principals are not there. Okay, how can we expect the counselors to do the job if half of the time they're being admin designees? I already tried to address this in closed session, and the answer that I got was, well, it falls under, they can do that because it falls under the other duties as assigned. You know, I don't understand why we have to use, we have the counselors doing all these admin activities or issues when they're trained professionals to work with our students. Okay? So that's just one of the complaints, and there's many more complaints, but I will try to talk to the board about this and maybe give our superintendent, our acting superintendent, a direction that counselors do what they're trained to do and not do everything else that the principals or administrators are supposed to be doing. And we'll talk about this in closed session. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Calderon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everybody. Just congratulations to all our athletes and our coaches. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Castillo?
None.
As for myself, it's going to sound like a broken record, but just want to say thank you, or congratulations to actually all our teams, especially our soccer team that represented, our school district, at that state level. Also to, their coaches, and other than that, getting ready to recognize one of our citizens here also as well. So with that, let's move on. Going on to K, action items.
Mr. President, I'll ask if we can then, can we move case 7 up to the top and deal with that one first?
That's good with me. So we're going to go ahead and move case 7 over, resolution declaring March 21st, 2018 as a Down Syndrome Day. And do we have a copy of that resolution?
It's already there. It's in the computer. If you download it on the right.
It's right here.
All right. I got it.
He has it. He has it.
I got it.
He has it. He has it.
I got it. I'll go ahead and read it right now.
Let me add some questions first. We want to thank you very much. This year, we didn't concentrate, the committee didn't concentrate on World Down Syndrome Day, but we added it to our Calexico Health and Safety Coalition Committee. This year's committee, the school district has been invited. This year's committee is comprised of City Manager David Dale, the Chief of Police, Pure County Sheriff's Office, the Cónsul, el Cónsul, está el Comité Cívico del Valle, está Calexico Transit, está James Beaver, Mr. Dr. Manuel Yanez, myself, Kelly Gardens, and a few others. We are the committee. We already formed, and Heffernan will tomorrow deal with our finances for the fair. But we included the World Down Syndrome, and what we're hoping is to work with Mr. John Moreno so he can have Eddie as the honorary principal of Aurora High. In the evening, we're going to meet with the Calexico High School if they can have the band that they did last year, during the lunch. And in the morning, the police department will be having him ride along. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and read the, actually, first we're going to, so since the resolution, first of all.
Read it first. Read it first.
I can read it?
Yes.
So, Declaration of Down Syndrome Day. Whereas the Calexico Unified School District declares March 21st, 2018 as Down Syndrome Day and encourages our educational community to work together to promote respect and inclusion of individuals with Down syndrome and to celebrate their accomplishments and contributions. Whereas approximately 1 in every 691 children are born with Down syndrome, and whereas Down syndrome occurs in people of all races and economic levels, and whereas there are over 400,000 individuals living with Down syndrome in the United States. And whereas through public awareness, CUSD celebrates the hard work and progress made by parents, self-advocates, medical professionals, researchers, educators, and many nonprofit organizations. And whereas despite dramatic increases in lifespan and intellectual ability in the U.S., there is still much work to be done regarding the rights to equality, inclusion, education, medical care, research, and support for people with Down syndrome. The foregoing resolution was adopted upon motion of trustee. Who makes the motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Calderon, second by Calderon Jr. It's a roll call. Mr. Romero?
Aye.
Mr. Calderon? Mr. Calderon? Aye. Mr. Castillo? And myself, aye. at a regular meeting of the board held on March 8th, 2018 by the following votes. They've already stated. So thank you very much, and we're going to go ahead and take a picture now with Mr. Eddie. Thank you, board members. Let's move on with K1. Agreement for Avid Excel for 2018-19 for Enrique Camarena and William Moreno Junior High Schools.
I move we approve.
I'll seconded by Calderon Jr. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor is Romero, Calderon, Calderon Jr., Castillo, and myself. Moving on to K2, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Will Richardson for Connected Learning LLC for Leadership Professional Development Services. I'll make the motion to
Second.
second by Calderon Jr. All those in favor? Aye. All those in favor, Romero, Calderon, Calderon Jr., Castillo, and myself. K3, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Wilkinson Hadley King and Company LLP for 2017-18 through 2019-20 for multi-year auditing services.
I have a question.
Okay.
It's 3-year contract, and are we just, I mean, are they giving us a good price for this, for the 3 years?
Yes, they are, for audit firms that have worked in our valley, they are the lowest priced.
Yeah, I know they're the lowest bid, but I mean, they
But
did.
it's a competitive price.
Who else do they work with?
Pardon?
Who else do they work with?
They work with Heber. They worked with Calapat. They work
Raleigh,
with
ICOE.
several, with the county. They work with a lot of
ICOE,
our districts here in the valley.
But we are. for
But it
3
is a
years.
competitive and it is a fair price.
Okay.
There's a motion by Romero,
The second.
seconded by Calderon Jr. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor, Romero, Calderon, Calderon Jr., Castillo, and myself. Moving on to K4, contract between Wayne Hutchin and Dual School Elementary for the Impossible Show on March 28, 2018 for 2 presentations to promote attendance.
I motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Calderon Jr.,
And I
second.
do have a comment. Thank you, Ms. Hanson, for doing everything for our kids to motivate them and get them to come to school. Thank you.
So
That's
the
all.
second by Romero. All those in favor? Aye. All those in favor, Romero, Calderon, Calderon Jr., Castillo, and myself. K5, memorandum of understanding between Calexico Unified School District and Imperial County Office of Education to provide services to Our Lady of Guadalupe
Motion.
Academy staff.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Calderon Jr., second by Calderon. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those in favor, Romero, Calderon, Calderon Jr., Castillo, and myself. Moving on to K6, report to the governing board regarding compliance with the Cal 200 settlement agreement for trimester.
Yeah or nay?
This is,
Are we in
So do we make it?
compliance?
yeah, it's the PE.
Yeah, I know what it is, but my question is, are we in compliance or?
Yes, we are. We are in compliance.
Okay.
I motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, motion by Calderon Jr., second by Calderon. All those in favor, state aye. Aye. Ayes are Romero, Calderon, Calderon Jr., Castillo, and myself. Moving on to K8, resolution regarding disposition of surplus asset, non-asset technology, office and custodial equipment. I'll move.
I'll second with discussion, real quick.
Go ahead.
What are we doing with with these items? Do we sell them? Are we auction them? Are we giving them away?
Throw them away.
Yeah, these have been considered that they have no value, and so they are basically disposed of.
So which is
Properly.
Right.
Properly?
Properly
Okay.
disposed, yes.
all right.
So, motion by myself, seconded by Calderon. All those in favor? Oh, it's a resolution,
Oh, it's
correction,
resolution.
resolution. Romero?
Yes.
Calderon?
Yes.
Calderon Junior?
Yes.
Castillo?
Yes.
Myself, yes. All's in favor? We already said it. So, moving on to K9, fiscal year 2017-18, second interim report.
I move we approve.
Second.
Motion by Romero, second by Calderon. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, I think we should hear it out.
So if you don't mind, my favorite, that's my favorite bullet
Yeah, I
number in
mean-
the history of the second term. But if I can just point out just a couple things, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Just, just gotta do my due diligence. I just wanna,
I won't go through every slide, but what I will share is that it is different from the first interim report.
Better or worse?
It's better.
Okay.
It's better from the perspective of, in January, I went to the governor's budget workshop, and LCFF will be funded at 100% in the upcoming year. So I always show this one slide, I think it's towards the end where or it could be in the beginning, I'm not sure, but we talk about that slide right there, where for the current year, since we're not fully funded, we're not getting $3.6 million of what we're entitled to. And on the first interim slide, we had that same red column where there was, $3.6, $3.8 million that we weren't going to get in 18-19, which has a significant impact on that year and the out years. Well, based on the governor's proposed budget for 18-19, LCFF will be fully funded, which means our target and our minimum, or what we're going to get, is the same. We're not going to not get anything.
Are we getting that money? Those
We're
$2 million?
Not for this year, no. Not for 17-18, but for next year, we'll get all of the money versus the gap, or, that money. So it certainly is a better picture than what we were anticipating. I will just, say for the record that there are still things that are coming up that are beyond our control. As Mr. Gonzalez mentioned, we do have some things that we're working with in the insurance committee, and those are things that the district must fund. They impact today and moving forward. Looks a lot better than first interim, a lot different, but certainly our reserve is still low. We're still looking at I think it's about a 5.5% unrestricted reserve, so it's consistently moving down. It's not budgeted in our second interim, but we're anticipating getting some one-time dollars. And as a part of this presentation, I will always recommend at this point one-time dollars. We earmark them, or we commit them to our reserve, that we don't spend them on anything. They're automatically committed so that we can build up our reserve to get back to minimally a 10% reserve. So again, a lot better picture than first interim. We're not operating in the potential red in that third out year, but certainly things to just keep these things at the forefront of our mind, that different variables are, it kind of shifts up and down, but it is a lot better than first interim. And we are certifying, at first interim we certified qualified. Here second interim we are certifying as positive. So certainly a much better picture at this time.
Thank you.
So one question, May. So again, just remind us, or remind us for the board, what should we be considering, thinking about, keeping in the forefront, budget-wise, especially looking 2 to 3 years out?
Okay, so always, since the majority of our budget is in salary, benefits, staffing, those are things that as we are negotiating with our bargaining units, to always be mindful of that. Taking a look at our spending, taking a look at making sure that we're making appropriate expenditures, which I think that's something that I just don't say, but making sure that the things we are purchasing benefit the district. Again, taking a look at our attendance. Attendance is important. I was about to pass out looking at one day of students. There is a huge impact, and with 1%, it will make a difference. So definitely monitoring that A2A software to make sure that there is a benefit to the district. I do hope with all of the incentives that are happening district-wide with attendance that we will see that increase and get our parents and students involved to want to come to school. Again, safety. We have to also include safety for our staff as well. There are some issues, a lot of different things, facilities, and just trying to do the best we can with what we can afford. So again, making appropriate expenditures is always a way to keep on track, keeping our schools safe, encouraging our kids to be here, and certainly just operating in the black. I mean, that's basically it, and just, making good recommendations to our board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that motion was made by Calderon, seconded by Romero. Was that correct? Oh, Romero was first? Oh, Romero made the motion, Calderon seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those in favor is Romero, Calderon, Calderon Junior, Castillo, and myself. Moving on to K10. FY 2016-17 financial reports and audit certifications for Measure J Board. Bond, correction.
But there's nothing, right? Because we haven't spent anything, right?
So this is actually the Measure J one. So
Oh,
this
J.
is the,
Never mind.
the final audit report for Measure J. That just details that we spent all of those bond funds, and that's it. And there are no audit findings. So we're done with Measure J.
I move we approve.
A second. Motion by Romero, second by myself. All those in favor? Aye. All those in favor is Romero, Calderon, Calderon Junior, Castillo, and myself. Moving on to K11, FY 2016-17 financial reports and audit certifications for Measure V bond.
So this is just a state requirement for us to have our bond funds audited. We have not spent any of the expenditures. However, we did get an audit finding. And the audit finding is that of our 9-member board, there isn't a board member that fits the criteria of a citizens tax payer association. Well, we don't have one. We've tried, and I've argued with our auditors for the last 3 weeks regarding this audit finding, and it's the law. We don't have one that fits the criteria, and it's not there's no negative impact. It just is just for the record that we don't have someone that fits in that criteria. So we advertise, we do what we can to try to get someone, but we don't have anybody in that. And we've been looking kind of locally for a tax group, and there just isn't one. So so there isn't one. So probably forever until there's one established here, we'll get that audit finding. But there's no fiscal impact. There's no negativity that comes along with this audit finding.
I move we approve.
I'll second. Motion by Romero, second by Alvarado. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those in favor, Romero, Calderon, Calderon Junior, Castillo, and myself. Moving on to K12, accounts payable pre-list and addendum.
I move we approve.
I'll second that. Motion by Romero, second by Alvarado. All those in favor? Aye.
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 All those against? Same?
Aye.
All right. All those in favor is Romero, Calderon, Calderon Junior, Castillo, and myself. Moving on to K13. Provisional internship permit for Dalia M. Magaña for the 2017-18 school year.
Motion that we approve.
I'll second. Motion by Castillo, second by Alvarado. All those in favor? Aye. All those in favor is Romero, Calderon, Calderon Junior, Castillo, and myself. Moving on to K14. Do we do that right now, or do we go into closed session first? Let's go ahead and, do it right now. K14, certificated employment report.
Make a recommendation that the board approve the employment report with the following additions. That we approve Dalia Magaña as the mathematics teacher at Calexico High School, Erika Baez as the second grade teacher at Mains Elementary School, Fernanda Ramirez as the sixth grade teacher at Dual School, Vanessa Ochoa as the assistant track coach at Calexico High School, and finally add Erika Baez as a substitute teacher.
I move we approve.
Second.
So motion by Romero, second by Calderon. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, Romero, Calderon, Calderon Junior, Castillo, myself. Moving on to K15, classified employment report.
We recommend that the board approve the classified employment report with the following recommendation: to table the campus security position of Miriam Vega at CO, Calexico High School.
I move we approve.
I'll second. Motion by Romero, second by Alvarado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor, Romero, Calderon, Calderon Junior, Castillo, and myself. We're going to go into L, reconvene to earlier closed session.